The United States is no stranger to severe weather, and 2024 was no exception. From severe thunderstorms, hurricanes, and tornadoes, 2024 had it all. Here at MSC, we were able to pick 5 events that stood out among the rest. We chose our top picks based on economics, severity, and overall impacts. That brings us to number 5 on our countdown. There is no doubt 2024 was extremely active with solar storms and northern lights. However, one day stands out among the rest. May 10th, 2024. It started with a series of solar flares 93 million miles away on our sun. These flares created a series of CMEs that were headed straight to Earth. CMEs are fast-moving waves of heat and radioactive particles that when hit our atmosphere, they interact with gases such as oxygen and nitrogen, which help create the magnificent colors of the lights that we see here on the ground. What makes this day stand out was the scale of the storm. Most storms are small, generally G1 or G2, which at this scale does not allow the lights to be seen further south than the furthest most points of the northern United States. However, this storm was massive. In fact, it was one of the largest in this century. This G5 KP night event allowed for the northern lights to be a global event. Lights were seen as far south as Cuba. Now that brings us to number 4 on our countdown. Chicago is no stranger to severe weather, including tornadoes. But not in February. Usually this time of year, the city is very cold and windy with snowy conditions. This wasn't the case across the Midwest on this day. A strong storm system was moving out of the plains and drawing warm, moist, unstable air from the Gulf of Mexico. Many areas even seeing record high temperatures, with temperatures reaching the mid-70s across the region. The Storm Prediction Center, seeing this data, highlighted an area that was at risk for tornadoes this day, including Chicago. Later that evening, thunderstorms exploded in northern Illinois. These supercells didn't take long before they quickly began producing tornadoes. Before long, the storm complex grew into an MCC, or Mesoscale Convective Complex, and was headed directly for Chicago. Over 20 tornadoes touched down across Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. 11 of those were in or near Chicago. In total, this outbreak cost $1.5 billion in damage. Next, we move down to number 3 on our countdown. Spring was abnormally active for severe weather and tornadoes across the Midwest and Ohio Valley. Iowa was extremely active during this time, seeing a record 125 tornadoes for the year. May 21st was no exception. An unusual setup was taking aim, with all the ingredients coming together to support tornadoes, some of them violent. The Storm Prediction Center had a large moderate risk over nearly the entire state this day. One of the strongest being a powerful EF4 tornado which struck the town of Greenfield, Iowa. This twister was on the ground for 48 minutes with a pass length of 44 miles long. This powerful twister was one of the strongest tornadoes ever recorded, with a Dow measurement of over 300 miles per hour at one point just above the ground. However, this tornado was rated a powerful EF4 tornado with winds estimated at 185 miles per hour. And this is based on the enhanced Fujita scale, which rates tornadoes based on the damage they cause and not by their wind speed. Unfortunately, there were 5 fatalities and 35 injuries in the tornado. Next, we jump to number 2 on our list. As we said before, 2024 was exceptionally active for tornadoes, and April 26th through the 28th was no exception. Over 170 tornadoes touched down during this multi-day tornado outbreak, the strongest being the Elkhorn, Nebraska EF4 tornado. This tornado had winds of 170 miles per hour and was on the ground for over 1 hour. The highly active pattern was setting up across the plains, which supported a multi-day outbreak of severe weather, including tornadoes. In this outbreak, many of the tornadoes were on the ground simultaneously across the region. This multi-day outbreak produced a whopping 164 confirmed tornadoes across 8 states. This outbreak cost over $1.2 billion in damage, and unfortunately had 6 fatalities and over 170 injuries reported. Now before we jump to number 1 on our countdown, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and be sure to follow us for more videos and up-to-date weather information. Alright, now we have made it to number 1 on our list, Hurricane Helene.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mike Brennan here at the National Hurricane Center. It's just after 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time on Thursday, September 26, coming on with the latest on a very dangerous Hurricane Helene, which is strengthening as it moves northeastward across the eastern Gulf of Mexico, taking aim on the Florida Big Bend region for a landfall that's expected this evening. But Helene is an expansive storm with hazards that are already extending out hundreds of miles away from the center.
Depending on where you are, this unprecedented storm dropped from 10 to 29 inches of rain across the mountains, causing life-threatening floods and landslides.
Hurricane Helene was a powerful storm system that was the strongest hurricane on record to strike the Big Bend region of Florida. Helene made landfall as a 140 miles per hour Category 4 hurricane. This was the deadliest hurricane to impact the mainland United States since Hurricane Katrina in 2005. But what made Hurricane Helene so unique? Well, one of the reasons is it was able to interact with an area of low pressure across the Ohio Valley through a process known as the Fujiwara effect. This allowed for the impacts of Hurricane Helene to travel much further inland than what a typical hurricane or tropical storm normally does. Impacts were felt greatly across states such as Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and South Carolina, and impacts were even felt as far north as the Midwest and Ohio Valley in states such as Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, and even Illinois. This storm caused catastrophic flooding and mudslides across the Appalachians, which caused roads, buildings, and even towns to be destroyed, some areas seeing up to 2 feet of rain. In total, Hurricane Helene caused over $120 billion in damages and over 200 fatalities, and the full list of injuries is not yet fully known. What a year 2024 has been, and that completes our countdown. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.